Tia Bailey with Ourconic Entertainment. We are in the studio with Mr. Chris Adams. Finally. So this is Cynthia with Ourconic Entertainment, and today I'm so excited to say that we are in the studio with Mr. Chris Adams. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So thank you for taking the time
Of course.
with us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a long time coming.
Oh yes, absolutely.
How many years ago?
Has it been 10? Has it been 10 already?
10, 12.
12, one of those, yeah. One of those, yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
But I'm very happy to be here with you today.
Thank you guys for
I'm happy
coming.
to be in your happy space.
This is my happy space.
Yes. And so oftentimes, producers, engineers are behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So tell us who you are and what you do and the greatness of Mr. Chris Adams.
The greatness. I love that.
Yes.
So I'm Chris Adams. I've been doing music pretty much all my life. My earliest memories is telling my mom at 9 years old that I wanted to be a composer. Had no idea what that meant, but I knew that it had something to do with music. Music made me feel a certain way. It made me feel that I can kind of conquer the world in a way. I've been playing piano since I was 8 or 9, writing music since I was 13, producing since I was 17. And I'm years old now.
Right.
So I've been doing it for quite a while. I've been really blessed to work on a lot of great records, gospel, rap, pop, rock, all that good stuff. Work with artists around the world as well. So yeah, I really, really enjoy what I do. It's part of my motivation for waking up every day. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So tell me the early days of Chris Adams. Like, how did you know that you were a good writer? How did you know that you were going to be great at music?
You don't know that you're good. You're actually pretty bad.
Okay.
The early days. Yeah. When you're 12 years old, you're just trying to figure everything out, trying to figure out how to program and produce.
Yeah.
But I think when I started getting good is when I started being consistent.
Okay.
You know what I mean? A lot of times we start something and we start running really fast at it. Then we start losing speed when there's nothing kind of taking place. So I think I started really listening to my sound, I want to say when I was 17, 18. Okay. You know, that's when it started developing. I started to collaborate more. I started to meet different people in the industry, different people outside the industry, and they kind of shaped my sound as well. So I think that's when I started really picking up on it.
What was the first thing you produced?
Oh, see, now you can't ask stuff like that because I don't even know who I produced last week. It's crazy. Sure so I would say one of the first records I was proud of.
Okay.
Probably was in college.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm a big Kirk Franklin in the family type person. So I just got a couple of my friends together and we just did like some gospel singing and some gospel recording and all that stuff. And I think that's one of my earliest memories.
Did you go to school for it?
I did. I went to University of North Carolina at Pembroke. I studied music with elective studies in business. That was my first degree. My second one was mass communication. So I spent a lot of time going to class and then going to the studio. Not the other way around, Mom. I promise. So I went to class first, then I did the studio. But it was really good because they had a whole setup similar to this at the school. And when I went there, I didn't know what I was going, I really didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I knew it had to do something with music, but when I discovered the studio, I was locked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I know that you said consistency is key.
Yes.
But what keeps you consistent? Like, what's your motivation to keep going?
I think really just to continue to motivate yourself in a way. A lot of times like all this stuff, this is great. I hang it up for inspiration, really. But when I was 20, I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have any of this stuff. All I had was the momentum to keep going, my mentality, really the heart and passion behind it, because it's so easy to kind of lose that, after a while with external things. I didn't come from the richest family, you know what I mean? So I was able to kind of lock in early on, this is what I want to do to kind of get out of that mind frame and kind of get into a different situation. So yeah, just motivation internally, and also just to be really honest with you, what for me, growing up, I wasn't the most self-aware or I didn't have high self-esteem in a way, and so the way I was able to connect with who I was internally was through music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you looking for any type of validation through the music from other people, or were you just saying, well, because I've accomplished, or I can produce music now, that's my motivation. That's my way to like keep myself encouraged.
Sure.
Or was it just somebody else's?
I think it was both. I think just children in general, they look for, hey mom, did I do a good job?
Yeah, that's true.
You get praised for going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't get praised for going to the bathroom anymore,
Right.
But so of course that's going to carry on into, if you make a nice beat, if you make a nice, a nice song, hey mom, hey dad, listen to this. Yeah. And if they say, oh, that sounds good, that motivates you to keep going. And they say, oh, wait, you're not quite there yet. That may, in a way, just kind of bring you down, but still, you still have to have that internal motivation.
That makes sense. And I know you post a lot of videos, which is dope, with you in the studio, like just jamming to what you've
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is something that outside of your music kind of gets you going when you hear other producers or other music? Like what's something else that keeps you?
Oh man, there was this video. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie did this whole, like, I forget the name of it. No, it was called Black Mozart. And it might have been like 30, 40 minutes of, they traveled overseas. He had a camera crew follow him, and they were kind of showing his process with different songs. Okay. Like that motivates me to no end. It's crazy. Just to see how motivated he is, and just to hear how other people, how they start crafting beats and how they start crafting music. And I kind of get motivation from that. Yeah.
And so with Brian Leslie, so that's one motivator, right? Or inspiration.
Yeah.
So, but I know you said that you were playing piano when you were young.
I was, yeah.
You want to be a composer.
I did,
Was there someone specific just at that young age that said, hey, you can do this, or you can strive for that? To be a composer, I'm thinking like of symphonies, right?
Yeah.
The love of music, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Shout out to 910, there wasn't a lot of people doing what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I couldn't really glean from that. So I kind of had to, I don't want to say make it up as I go, but I kind of had to have a different vision in my mind of what I wanted it to be for me. Okay. You know what I mean? A lot of great musicians, a lot of great singers are from that area. But as far as like being in the studio every day and, doing records, knocking out records for people around the world, I didn't see that up close. So obviously, if there's a vision that makes sense to you, it may not make sense to everybody else. And I kind of ran into that sometimes. Sometime when I was younger, I was like, hey, mom or dad or uncle, so-and-so, I want to do this, I want to do that. Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Are you sure? Like, maybe you should go this route. And then what I learned at an early age, because it doesn't make sense to them, they don't want it to make sense to you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I had to like fight with that mentality. It took me years. Yeah. It took me years to fight with that, and I'm still fighting. You know what I mean? So it's an ongoing battle, but yeah, that's just kind of, I had to kind of glean from the inside and to continue to move how I want to move.
Even with that being said, I know you're a parent.
I am.
So sometimes it's not are you really sure? It's more of a protection thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more of a protection
That
thing.
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. That makes
So
sense.
it's like they don't want you to fail. They don't want you to
Right.
be disappointed. It's,
Right.
They want the best for you.
Right.
So even with that being said, and I know you said that growing up you didn't have that confidence. So if your immediate circle was kind of like, maybe try something else to be safer.
Yeah.
How did you still say no? This is what I'm going to do.
Hey, listen, I feel like. So, ask me what my name is.
So what's your name?
My name is Chris. Now, you can't tell me that my name is Joe.
Right.
Because I just told you my name is Chris.
Correct.
I had to stand on that. So I had to learn how to stand on that when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got to figure out who to listen to first, right, and also who to ignore. Sometimes you got to ignore people in your family.
Very true.
I mean, and even to that point of like protection, sometimes we can project instead of protect.
Right.
Like I have unfulfilled desires. I have unfulfilled things that I want to do. So that means I have to make sure my son stays in that bubble that I'm staying in. I don't think that's healthy. You know what I mean? So, so there's a fine line. There's a fine line. You know what I mean? So.
And also, just because we talked about before, I have a teenage daughter.
Yeah.
She's 16.
Yeah.
So she thinks that she can do everything, which I believe that I can do everything. So I get why she's, there is no limit.
Right.
But sometimes she'll say, well, Mom, you keep telling me I can't do something. And I'm like, no. I believe that you will do it. Okay. However, your journey to it is going to hurt. Right.
Okay.
And I'm the type of parent. Well, I'll tell you twice. The third time, I'll say, okay. Right. And I completely take my hands off of it. I have to trust that God has the next step. Okay. Right. And I have to trust that I parented you enough. Sure. To get you to that next level where you really do want to be. Right. Or you don't get it, and then you learn a lesson. Sure. And so, for the music industry, it's kind of like, it's a flashy. Yeah, you can have that now and today, and no limit kind of thing. Yeah. How do you shape the new generation coming up? If it's a mentee, coming up saying, well, I want this, I want to do that. Like, how do you tell them, like, hey, back up a little bit, kind of reevaluate your plan. Okay. How do you direct them? That's a, you got me on that one.
I really think it's relationship though. Okay. If you have a mentee, and they trust your word, they'll kind of trust what you say. In a way, instead of like I said, projecting, because that can happen in a mentor-mentee situation as well. I'm projecting on my failures, and I'm making sure you don't hit the hurdles that I did. Well, sometimes you might have to hit the hurdles. Yeah. When your kid is young, they're learning how to walk for the first time. They're gonna fall plenty of times, but what you have to do, you have to get back up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Same thing in this journey. Same thing as far as learning different programming or learning different politics, because politics is huge in this industry. So yeah, if I had a mentee that came to me and said, hey, I want to do this, go do it. Do it. You might fall. I know that. You may not know that yet, but I think sometimes that can be the best experience, for you, the best teacher, for you. But of course, it doesn't hurt to be there with guardrails. It doesn't hurt to be there with your hands out and say, hey, don't bump into this right here. Hey, don't touch the socket kind of thing. So I don't think that hurts either. Okay. Yeah.
And just over the years, of course, I've been watching from the sidelines.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Stalking from the side. Being a cheerleader.
Yes, cheer, yes.
I know personally that you are a great, genuine person. You're a family man. Yeah. You're a husband. And you're just a great person as an individual, not just an artist, right?
Thank you.
How have you not gotten engulfed in this craziness of the industry?
Oh, listen. Somebody else asked me that. They say, hey, Chris, how do you stay so humble? Life has humbled me. If I could just keep that in a nutshell. One of the things that I heard, and I heard this on a TV show, always keep your feet planted to the ground. Always. If I'm honest with you, my family actually grounds me, because my wife loved me before I got this in the back. Right. You know what I'm saying? My kids look at me genuinely, not because I have a hit record or not because a song just went to radio yesterday. They're like, hey, Dad, I love you because you're my dad, And yeah, so that really keeps me motivated, keeps me humble, and it just makes me count my blessings. You know what I'm saying? It makes me really appreciate them, appreciate life. And so with them, it's hard to smell it. It's hard to smell that. It is. Like this outfit right here, my wife was gonna tell me if she liked it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even though she's my biggest fan, she's like, that don't. Like even if I let her hear something, I say, hey babe, how that sound? Now mind you, I got like 500 records out.
Right.
You know, I say, hey babe, how that sound? She's like, that ain't it. And I have two choices. I could be like, I got 500 records, or I could be like, dang, you're right. Let me go back, because you represent the listener. And you also want the best for me and my brand. So you don't want me to just put out garbage. You want me to put out the best. Yeah.
That's true. And even with your brand, that being said, you wrote me right into
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I know like Ninth Wonder has a sound. Pharrell has a sound.
Yeah.
Prince had a sound.
Oh, yeah.
That signature.
Oh, yeah.
What is Chris Adams?
Oh. You mean besides the lady saying, Chris Adams? I like to infuse a lot of gospel in what I do. Yeah, I like to infuse a lot of, I love percussion. Okay. I love hard-hitting beats. I like to infuse chord progressions here and there without going overboard, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of make it a mainstream or mainline sound. So I think if you heard a Chris Adams record, you'd be like, oh, okay, I know that.
Right.
Even without the tag, like, oh, okay, there's a little nuance of gospel, there's a little nuance of R&B in there, kind of thing.
That's dope. I love that. So what, if you could, I know you mentioned the one about your family when you were in college, as far as recording gospel music as the Kurt Franklin inspiration.
Yep.
What's your most memorable, if you could say one or two, that would be fine. You don't have to pick just one.
Okay.
What's your most memorable time, like in the studio? Like a session, or was it just you, or was it like...
Ooh, that's a good one, yes.
Throw it at the wall.
No, yeah, I was working a lot. This was about 2010. I was working a lot of hours. And there was a guy that I met, his name is Ahmad Goins. That's we call him Ahmad G. And like, he was light years ahead of me in production. Like his programming, as a matter of fact, one of the songs we just did, one of the songs that came out, shout out to Jasmine E. Snatch came out just, I think, a few weeks ago. He did drum programming on that, But anyhow, I would drive 45 minutes one way just to watch him work. Okay. So I think that was one of the most memorable times I had in the studio. Another one with him was, I think I had got off work one time and we was going to do a project for an artist, and I was so sleepy. Like I worked at 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and I drove that way, whatever. So he had a couch upstairs where his mom lived. And so I went there, I think we ate and we started working on a record, and I'm just going to sleep. I slept for like an hour or two. Then I woke up, I said, hey, I got an idea. And then in the bridge of that song, there was like a bass line. It was done. So I had got that inspiration after I got up, though. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of my memorable times. I have a lot of them, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's one of those that kind of pops out now.
And so with going into the studio with other people who you're saying like are ahead of you, how do you, I'm sure, let me not say that. I was going to say not that you would have that experience now, but how did you keep from having like that envious, like, oh, my music isn't, on that level, or I'm not ready for that? Like, how did that not discourage you?
No. There's a hunger that you always have to have. Okay. You always have to have that. There's going to be people that's still light years ahead of you. Yeah. I mean, you'll never get to a destination. Okay. For me, I listen like your nephew Jay. I hit him up. I say, hey man, I need some packs. He sent me some packs. Yeah. I said, hey, that's what I need. And I told him, I said, hey, I'm gonna sit in the studio with you just to see how you work, just to watch you. So I think you should be able to glean information and inspiration from anybody. That's true. You know what I'm saying? Whether you feel like they're light years ahead, or whether you feel like they're just starting out, or whatever, we can all kind of learn from one another. And I think one of the downfalls these days is we don't like to collaborate. We want to go in the studio and become the alpha male. Right. And it's like, no, just kind of chill for a minute. He got something that you need, or this person got something that you need, or whatever, like that.
That's good. How are you in this industry again? Okay. Just protecting your mental health, like in your bubble. Mm-hmm. And I know you have your family, which is great. Yeah. Foundation. Mm-hmm. But I know sometimes we also have that internal thing. Oh yeah. Kind of just other people just can't. It's not tangible.
Yeah, it's not tangible. Yeah.
So how do you protect your mental health?
I think for me, one of the things that gets me a lot is comparison. Oh yeah. Oh man. I look at that person, it's like, man, I should be right there. Like, no, I should have got that record. I should have been,
Yeah.
But I look at it as like running track. I'm in my lane, you in your lane.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I stay focused on my lane, I can always reach the finish line. Now you might get there faster than me or quicker than me. That's fine, but I'm still in my lane. And that's how it is in music too. Just stay in your lane. You have a sound, you have a gift. That person has a sound, that person has a gift. But so that the comparison thing can really mess with you a little bit. So I just stop, take a breather. Thank God for the blessings that I already have. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always easy to look at what somebody else has and says, I want what they have, but you don't really know what they had to go through to get that. You don't even know if that's real these days, if I'm honest with you. So you gotta walk the journey that you're on and just kind of protect your mental that way.
Okay. And even with that being said, like you don't even know if things are real now.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially like with AI coming.
Oh yeah.
Out,
Oh yeah.
How do you still plan to? Because this is going to be an ongoing thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Plan to keep the Chris Adams authenticity. With all the things that you can add to it that's not original.
Yeah.
Kind of tweaking kind of thing.
Yeah.
How are you planning to keep that?
I would say use it to your advantage.
Okay.
Use it to your advantage. When you know what I'm saying, like 20 years ago, we didn't have self-driving cars.
Right, very true.
I wish we did because I don't know how to parallel park. So now we got self-driving cars who can parallel park. I'm still the driver though, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like
use the assist.
Yeah, just use them to assist me in my brand and what I already have going on. So yeah, I think that becomes a little taboo, because like, oh, AI is about to take over and da da da. No, just relax on that.
Yeah.
We still got the front seat. Yeah.
And I'm gonna kind of bring it back a little bit to
Okay.
being a parent and just being involved, because you are involved in the next generation because of your music. How conscious are you of what you put out there, as opposed to let me just make this beat so I can make some money, versus I'm changing a generation. I'm changing somebody's mood with the frequencies and the words and who I'm lending my beats to. How are we? How are we contributing? I have.
You have kids? Yeah.
Grandmother.
Are you?
I am.
Really?
I have little Blaze.
Okay, yeah.
My boys and my daughter.
And daughter, yeah.
So it's like I'm concerned.
Okay. Okay.
With all types of music, because it changes your mood.
It does, yeah.
Right?
It does.
What they're listening to.
It does.
So how is that important?
I had a dream years ago that it was me and two other people. We were like standing on a mountaintop, and there was like thousands of people, and they were like bowing. And I was like, what that mean? What that translated to me was the power of music can kind of shift a whole room, shift a whole atmosphere. So you got to be careful with that, because you don't want people to bow to you. You want them to bow to God. You want to, you know what I'm saying? But I know for me, it's a very conscious thing. Just to be honest with you. And also to teach your kids, like, what is appropriate and what isn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think art is subjective. You know what I mean? Some people like to use certain language in art. Some people don't.
Yeah.
But as the gatekeeper of your home, it's your job to say, hey, we ain't gonna mess with that. Nah, that's not gonna be played in my house. Nah, we gotta, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm still very conscious of, just kind of the art that we put out, and just making sure it can move forward in the next generation.
Okay. So are there any artists that may have come to you, or a project that came to you that you were kind of like, not really my thing, but then you're like, dang, I should have done that? You don't have to be like too specific.
Oh yeah.
How do you even handle that if you passed up an opportunity and kind of be like,
if you pass them up, actually I could say no.
Okay.
And there's another side to that. I'm a yes guy.
Okay.
So it's like, you want to work with me? Yes. You want to work with me? Yes. You want to work? All right, everybody, let's all work together.
Yeah.
Then at the end of it, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that was too much work, actually. So no, I don't think there's anybody that I passed up on that was like, nah, I've been very fortunate. I've been, like, all praise to God, I've been very fortunate to to really do some amazing work, you know, in my short career, and I think it's only the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. Finish this sentence for me.
Okay.
Now that I know better, I.
Now that I know better, I would talk business first. We would have a conversation about, hey, what is your goal? Hey, what is your budget for that goal?
Mm-hmm.
What is your scope of work? How much money do you have to put this? Because I've said yes to a lot of things. Back to my earlier point, I've said yes. And at the end of it, my wife says, hey, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
I got to answer to her, and I got to be like, well, babe, you know, I'm just starting out. This is my brand kind of thing. But it took you away from, family time,
Sure.
and you brought home nothing. So I would talk business first. I think the key in this is what I've kind of adopted, is to be good in music, but to be great in business.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that supersedes anything like creatively you have going on. If, just like our conversation earlier, you know, just make sure these things are in place before I say yes to anything.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Is there any genre that you have not done yet that you're like, oh, I'll put that on the bucket list?
On the bucket list, EDM probably. EDM is really cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, and then they have like, I think that's pretty cool. There's a big technical factor to it though, that I have to learn. You got to learn how to mix lo-fi. You got to learn how to mix high pass filters. You got to do a lot of different automations. But I think that's pretty cool. But that might be a bucket list thing. I actually just finished a 30-song project with someone.
30?
30. Oh no, yeah, 30. Yeah, no, not 3. No, not 3. Or 13. No, not 13. And that leaned more towards modern country in a way. And that I didn't realize, but that was kind of a bucket list situation. Yeah, so I think that was really a great experience, and we actually just wrapping it up now. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you okay? Need a nap?
I mean, listen, I talk. Remember, I said my back was hurting. Remember that? That's what I was talking about. 30. Yeah, but we have been working on that since September.
Okay.
So a lot of those songs probably going to be kind of pitched for sync and all that stuff, like on Netflix or Hulu or whatever like that. So yeah, but it was a very, very huge project.
Okay. And what's your favorite genre? Favorite or easiest genre?
Ooh, my favorite is actually R&B. Okay. 2000s R&B. Bam!
Yes.
You feel me? You feel what I'm saying?
You talked about that with the ooh yeah and the ooh yeah.
The ooh yeah. The ooh yeah.
You gotta have that.
Yes.
And the they ooh.
Yeah, that's the they ooh. Yes. Yeah. No, that's actually my favorite. I mean, I connected when I first heard. There was a lot of records, but I remember Omarion, his first like solo record. He came out with O. There was a lot of records on it. I don't want to start naming names, but I remember listening to that like this is just amazing. But I would say the easiest genre though at this point might be gospel though. Okay. Just because it's a part of me. It's just what I've been doing since I was a kid. And as a matter of fact, gospel has kind of shifted over the past decade, 2 decades or whatever. So it's not the gospel that I grew up kind of listening to and producing, whatever. But yeah, I think that's pretty much. I
feel like when the Winans changed their style, and then Kurt Franklin came, and then Mary Mary.
Okay,
I feel like that's where it
really
changed, and it's only because my mom wasn't huge on like going to church kind of thing. Like
Of course.
we did it because we had to.
Oh, okay, I got you.
But it's like my cousins and my aunties that were like huge, like going to church, like the Pentecostal church.
Oh, okay.
They were kind of like, no, we not listening.
Oh yeah, that's too early. That's too early. That's too far left now.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a lot. So that shift happened in gospel, but you could actually like it was palpable.
Yeah.
Controversy.
Yeah.
It, right?
Yeah.
So just me like being on social media and kind of like searching around, especially with my kids doing music and stuff now.
Yeah.
I've seen is it called like rock rap? Did I send you?
Rap.
The metal
rap. The metal rap. Okay. I have. Yeah, I have.
I feel the same way about that.
Okay.
The way I saw the shift in gospel, where it's so different.
Okay.
That it's almost like, I mean, I like the gospel shift. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
It's almost like it's so freaking different. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, okay.
You know, but it's cool.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, but it's still rap. It's just over like the metal.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we're creating a new lane.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely. Yeah.
Was it there before?
Right. Yeah. It's art. It's art. Art is ever evolving.
It's left open to interpretation. So with that being said, like, is there something? Because you even mentioned like the other thing about like the EDM, right?
Yeah.
So with that seeming so far crazy, I guess I can kind of say, or so different.
Okay.
Like, would you really jump into an EDM like with somebody specific in mind? Like, do you write songs specifically for people or music for?
Oh, I see. It depends on the project. It depends on who, like, sometimes you have to like say no because it's not in your wheelhouse. It's like way too far.
Okay.
But like.
But you can create the new wheelhouse.
I could. You're right. I could. But sometimes it's best not to recreate the wheel. Just kind of fall into a lane that's already been created. Like guys like Tiesto and one of my favorites is actually Calvin Harris. Because he's I don't know if you guys know him. He's a British producer, but he's real big in like the EDM house space. Okay. But he's also like kind of moved into like the funk space too. You know what I mean? So he was able to do that. But yeah, no, if I was presented with the right opportunity and I had the opportunity to learn it and really kind of dive into it, sure, absolutely.
So who's your favorite producer?
Ooh.
If you can say that out loud.
Ooh.
Can you say it out
loud? Now that's a loaded question. I don't think I have a favorite.
Yeah.
I think I have a bunch of favorites.
Okay. I know you talked about a lot of people don't like to do collaborations, but if you could have like rappers have their top 5.
Ooh, a top 5.
Your top 5.
Oh yeah, probably so. I have Timbaland is up there.
Of course, yeah.
Pharrell Williams. I would say Dark Child is probably up there too. On the gospel side, this guy's name is A$AP Ward. He did Kim Burrell. He did Kim Burrell's album. You got me on that one. You got me. Who would be my other person?
Your star players, like that's a big deal.
It is, yeah. Just combined, I mean, they're just, I don't know, just their discography alone. Me and my family watch Piece by Piece, and we was in there like, it was like, oh my goodness, like it was one of those eye-opening movies that was like, wow, you really did this, and you did this while you were doing this, like. Pharrell is the GOAT, so yeah, he's up there for me.
And with that being said, so since I've started, working with Ourconic and kind of being behind the scenes of like the editing and the sound and just looking at how things look from angles, it's hard for me to watch movies now and just watch a movie.
Oh, because you're yep.
Right?
Yep, you're seeing it.
Why does the sound like that?
That's it.
I'm looking in the background.
That's
more
it.
than I did before. So when you're listening to music, are you analyzing it?
Since I was 12.
Okay.
Since I was 12, I tried to figure out what sound is that. I tried to figure out why is this person's mic have more reverb than the other person. Mm-hmm. Like I couldn't just listen to music as a consumer anymore. Yeah.
It's a catch-22, right?
It is, because you can't really enjoy it. Like, if we're riding in the car, for example, if someone is talking while the music is going, I have to stop the music and say, okay, just finish what you're saying. because I can't do both.
Yeah.
I can't listen to you and listen to music
Yeah.
because I'm an active listener. I'm not a passive listener. So it's one of those things where your brain is constantly breaking down those elements. Like, why is it going this way? What kind of sound did they use? What kind of vocal chain did they use? So yeah, that's just kind of what I've been blessed and cursed with.
Yeah.
At the same time.
It is. I just want to watch TV.
I know. I think those days are gone though. Unfortunately, because you do it. You know what I'm saying? Those days are like you're analyzing without even analyzing.
That's very true. So do you get attached to your music? Like, do you make a beat and be like, oh, I wanted to give this away or use this for a soundtrack, but I think I'm gonna like store it away?
Yes.
Emotions attached to it?
Yes. Next question. No.
What do you do about that? How do you release it?
It's hard. It's hard. Everything you do, because it's like your baby. Yeah. You put your all into it, But then, you have to realize, hey, it's your baby, but somebody else has to nurture it.
Okay.
And that's just kind of how I started looking at it.
That's fair.
But I also get very sensitive when I get revisions too. Oh, Santi, I don't want to.
It's perfect.
I said, let me ask this thing up here. How do you think it is?
Yeah.
How do you feel it is? No, I don't do that. But really asking for revisions is because I've spent like 4 hours on this record. And you're like, can you da da da? No, like I spent 4 hours on it. But like we said, art is subjective, and I have to take what they say into consideration because we're collaborating on this at that point.
Yeah. I met you as an artist.
You did, yeah.
I didn't know anything about the behind the scenes.
Okay, right.
So I met you as an artist.
Yeah.
Are you still an artist?
No.
Okay.
No.
How did you make that transition?
So when you met me, I technically wasn't an artist.
Okay.
I was on my Khaled thing for a while.
Yeah. Yes.
So I produced all the records.
Yes.
And I said, hey, you want to come and feature on this kind of thing? But my face did go on the record. So yeah, being an artist is different than in being a producer. Mm-hmm. Very, very different.
Right.
But I do like producing a lot better just because I do like behind the scenes. I think that's more my personality. And also, I'm able to work with many different people at the same time, as opposed to artists can only focus on theirs at that time, at that point in time, and just, use that lane. Cool.
Right. So tell us how you met your wife.
How my wife? Yes. I'm glad you asked.
How are you that?
I'm glad you asked. So we went to church. Shout out to World Overcomers. Went to a church in Durham, Pastor Andy. So there was this wonderful looking woman there on Wednesday nights. We had Wednesday night service, and she was always there with her friends, and they was like doing praise worship and all that stuff. Yeah. And one day when I was leaving work, I said, hey God, okay, if I'm supposed to talk to her, she's gonna be there alone, and I'm just gonna go up to her and ask her for a pen. When I got there, she was alone, and I went up to her and asked her for a pen. Did I need a pen? Of course not. I just wanted to know what her name was. And it's been on ever since then. We met back in 2011, and we've been going strong ever since. Yeah.
How are you keeping this balance? How are you staying in love? How are you keeping things hot? And working and being a dad?
That's hard. That's hard. I think what you have to do is continue to date each other. I think that's important. The same thing you did to get her, the same things you had to, you worked extra hard to get her number. You worked extra hard to get her name. You have to kind of still work hard. Just like I put 110% in the studio. I have to do that with my kids. I have to do that with my wife and all that stuff. Yeah.
How important are vacations? I have a lot of people that say, if we're at home, we kind of hang out together. We don't necessarily have to go on vacation. I've actually heard people say that.
Oh, really? That's that.
That's about.
That may work for them. We gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
We gotta get a lot, because honestly, I work on this side of the house. My wife works on the other side of the house. We live upstairs, so we're always here. You know what I'm saying? So we have to like be out, just to kind of have a different scenery, create experiences, all that stuff. Vacations weren't really important to me until I met my wife.
Okay.
Number one, I didn't have money for vacation. Number two, I was always work. It was like, I'm a workaholic. Like, I gotta grind, I gotta get it, I gotta do it, because that's what you're taught. You're taught that from a young age. Then my wife had said, what are you grinding for? Like, where are we going? I was like, well, then there's that.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped me out a little bit.
Well, that kind of feeds into my next question. So, and again, just as a Black man,
Okay.
how has she improved your life
Ooh.
as a wife
Ooh.
and a partner?
She has been the thing that I had been missing. Yeah, and you don't realize it until you meet the person, and it's like, that's what I needed. You know what I mean? She's given me the confidence, so I didn't just have to find confidence in music anymore. You know, she was like an extension of that confidence. She gives me the freedom to explore and to kind of grow together. You know what I mean? And I think that's important. We don't smother each other. You know what I'm saying? She does her thing, I do my thing, we do our thing collectively. And she knows how important this is. Doing music has been important to me my whole life, and she never stepped in the way of that. She's always said, I'm support you 300%. You keep going. When there was no money coming in, she's like, I'm still gonna support you. As a matter of fact, to the CDs that I did when we met, she actually gave me money for that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I had none.
That was before she was a wife.
This is before she was a wife.
Supporting the dream.
That's it. She was supporting the dream. And when you have a spouse that believes in you that much, you want to do everything you can.
Yeah.
Everything you can. Like I'm not gonna let you down. You're my partner for life.
Especially him, I hold him hostage a lot to build stuff and take me places.
Oh yeah.
Money.
Then there's that. Hey, we in the same boat, brother. We in the same boat.
Do you have any songs that have been crafted or engineered or produced that she has inspired?
Yeah, a song that just came out with Jimmy Moore is called "That's Why." Okay. He wrote that song for his wife, and so when he was writing it, I said, "Yo, this is for my wife." Yeah. You know what I mean? So just kind of creating the beat. It got that R&B, that 2000 R&B's
Did you get
vibe.
credit for that?
As far as
he wrote the song.
Yeah. He always. Oh no, that guy.
No, but I'm saying, did you tell her, hey, I also feel this?
That type of credit. Yes, I did. Yep, I did. I sure did. Yep, I did. Yep. And she knows like when I'm down here, like I'm pretty much. She is a muse. Okay. You know what I'm saying? She is the person. I'm like, you know what? I love her so much. I want to write this, or I want to craft this for her, or whatever. Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Oh, so if you were not doing music, what else would Chris Adams be doing?
Oh man.
Did you have any other aspirations outside of music?
At one point I wanted to be an architect.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there was a lot of math involved. So I was like, nah, even though I like math, I like algebra, all that stuff. I didn't want to. I don't know. I might real estate, I guess, or own homes and rent them out. I don't know. Yeah. I may still do that, but That's what. Yeah.
It's always something that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then pass it on to
the next generation. That's it.
Do any of your children have interest in music?
They don't.
Isn't that crazy?
They don't. You know what's crazy? My son, he's in college. He's at Johnson & Wales University. He's studying to be a chef. So it's crazy because like when he was around 5 or 6, I would cook for them a lot. And so we went to the store and I got like a pack of shrimp, and I went home. And I said, hey, I want you to deshell these shrimp. He sat there and deshelled each one at 5.
Okay.
He didn't get bored with it. He didn't say, this is too much. He deshelled it at 5. At that moment, I said, oh, this is what you want to do. This is what you want to do. And as far as cooking, he blows me out the water. Like we have cooking questions for him. Yeah. We'll call him and say, hey, how do you do that rule again? Like, and then we'll say, oh, we're going to put you on FaceTime. Then we show him. He's like, oh man, there's too much oil in there. You got to like take it out. So yeah, that's his thing. My daughter, she has a lot of interest, but she says she wants to be a film director. Oh, nice. Yeah. So whatever they want to do, I want to support them as far as I can.
Are coming up for 2025 and 26 that we can look for?
Oh, listen. I have a live recording that I just produced for Jasmine E. Shout out to Jasmine E. It's coming out May 1st. So next week, whenever we watch this, it might be out. Still working with Jimmy Moore on our next records. Maurice Griffin had just released a song called "You Matter." He called me yesterday and said just went to radio. So that's really good. Radio these days is that's like you hitting the holy grail at that point because everything's on streaming. You know what I'm saying? It's really hard to get radio again. That's all I know about now. Like normally, I found out about records what everybody else do. You know, and it's like
They'll give you a heads up.
they don't give me a heads up. This one person, and I'm not gonna call her name, but she's up there. This one person, she says, "Are you the Chris Adams that work?" Because I used to do a lot of work with Todd Delaney's music group, the Delaney
So you
Land.
don't always get to meet them.
I don't meet them. No, I don't. She said, "Are you the Chris Adams that did this record?" Da da da. I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And she said, "Oh, okay, I just want to give you credit because I'm about to release this project."
Okay.
And so I say, "Oh shoot, can you send it to me?" She's like, "I don't want to do that." Wait, I was on it though. But hey, that's your prerogative. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. When I heard the record though, the final record, because sometimes I have to just make the beat and send it off and whatever, everything like that. When I heard the final record, I was blown away. It was phenomenal. So I said, yes, you can tag me to that. That's fine. Then there's other records. I'm like, please don't tag me. Yeah, I'll be a ghost producer forever. It's fine. Let's just leave me out of that.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, well, online, where can we find you, Mr. Chris?
You can find me on Instagram at THEE Chris Adams. I'm currently working on a website with my management, so Be It Entertainment. Shout out to them. So I can get you that at a later date as well.
All right. Well, you heard it here from Mr. Chris Adams. And again, thank you for joining today. Cynthia with Ourconic Entertainment.
My people, I am Chris Adams, and this is my young bull.
Just XO.
I need you to follow, like, and subscribe to Ourconic Entertainment.